everyone, and welcome to Yoshi 1 Kenobi's Winota, Queen of the Elves deck. In this deck, we play to win. Now this is my competitive ladder deck at the moment, and it's been highly successful. Got me from Diamond to Mythic and gained a few percentages up in Mythic. I'm not sure just how many I'll have by the time I post this video, but the deck's been doing great. And why is that deck so good? Well, we all know Winota is one of the broken cards in Standard. What it does is whenever you have a non-human that attack, you look at the top 6 cards of your library and you may put a human from them on the battlefield, tapped and attacking with indestructible. So we want to have as many non-humans on the battlefield as possible and cheap creatures, and we want big humans. So what are the big humans we're playing? We're playing 2 Haktos, 2 Kenrits. We'd be playing more, but they're legendary. Same thing with Maja, Bredeguard Protector, which is a new addition in Kaldheim. It basically gives all your creatures +1/+1, and that's the main ability. The fact that you get a 1/1 whenever land enters the battlefield can come up from time to time, but typically you just use it as an anthem for your field. Then we're playing 4 copies of Basri's Lieutenant and 1 copy of Proud Wildbonder. When you have a very intensive board state and you just want to get some damage through, you attack with a bunch of creatures, and sometimes you can assure you'll go through your deck. You hit a Wildbonder, you hit a Kenrit, you give Trample to everything, and that's creatures you control with Trample may assign combat damage as though they weren't blocked. So basically you give unblockable to all your creatures, which will be lethal for sure. So why Elves? It brings us to 4 mana. So observation number 1, 4 mana is actually not that hard to do right now in Standard. The reason is the pathways are fantastic at fixing your mana, as long as you don't have too many double costed. But if you look, these ones are green, 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 black. Winota is just single white, single red. Haktos is quite hard to cast, but we're not aiming to cast Haktos. We are aiming to cheat it out. And then the triomes also help you to fix your colors. With triomes and pathways, you get to play a 4-color mana base with very little hiccups or problems. It's just very solid mana base. Also, we're playing 4 copies of Gilded Goose, 4 copies of Jaspera Sentinel, which help us to fix our mana. It also helps us to cheat on mana and get cheap creatures in play. Now this looks a little bit like the historic version that we had, where we had the Arboreal Grazer and the Gilded Goose that you use for ramping, and then later on you're using them to attack and generate Winota trigger. So it's the same way we're doing this here. So what we want are more elves, well, more creatures on the battlefield. So we know we want Jaspera Sentinel because it plays the ramping role, and it's also a small non-human creature. So we're playing Elvish War Master, because when we play elves, we get tokens. Also, when you get like 2 Elvish War Masters, sometimes you can just take over the game with elves and just go elves aggro on your opponent. And that's one of the things that the decks like Pawblade was struggling with. If you don't have your Winota, then the deck kind of fizzles. This deck has a few game plans. You can play the cheap elves. You can play the Winota plan. And what brings them together is Herald King of Skemfar. So first of all, it's an elf. Second of all, whenever it enters the battlefield, you look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an elf or a warrior, and this is key. So the deck becomes extremely explosive once you have Winota, which happens to be a warrior. So not only do we have the 4 copies of Winota in the deck, we also have 4 pseudo-tutors that help you reach that Winota. These tutors are also non-human creatures, which means it's going to trigger Winota on the following turn. Synergizes with the Elvish War Master. Goes well with the colors. And so really the half of the curve below 4 is all non-humans. Elves that synergizes with the War Master and the Gilded Goose. Everything that's 4 and above are all humans that you get to find with Winota, giving us a grand total of 4, 6, 8, 12, 11 humans non-Winota, plus the Winotas as humans. So you'll almost always find a target when you spin the Winota roulette. This means that we can play Umori for free, much like the historic version of the deck, because we're playing mostly creature-based. And then there's this utter awesomeness, which is look at the removal in the format right now. There's the removal that kills creatures with power 3 or less. Okay, well, our big creatures are all 4 mana or more. Then there's Heartless Act. Well, look at Basri's Lieutenant. Enters with a +1/+1 counter. Kinrit can put +1/+1 counters on stuff. Haktos has protection from sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. So just casting these humans actually makes it fairly hard for the opponent to remove. The humans dodge Shadow's Verdict. And we have 5 drops and 4 drops, so Extinction Event can even be difficult for the opponent. So because the removal is very targeted to some of the metagame decks, this deck has such a variety of threats that you get to dodge a lot of removal, making even those Sultai Orion's player have trouble dealing with your humans. If you hit a Winota and get a Basri's Lieutenant and a Kenrit, well, how does Sultai Orion handle those? And a lot of times you're going to be able to hit your combos way before Sultai actually reaches the ultimatum. So we're aggressive enough to go under Sultai. We're steady enough to go over some of the more aggressive strategies like mono red and mono white with this super explosive Winota finish, or the go wide strategy of the Elvish Warmaster. And so I recommend this deck to finish up your ladder season for the month of March, and it's just a lot of fun to play, and it's fairly powerful. So I'd encourage you to try it out. Perfect thing to play before we head into Strixhaven and get our spell slinging going. Now, I've talked way too much about this deck, so let's see it in action with some games. We are playing Winota, Queen of the Elves on MTG Arena Standard against Finster23. Yeah, this is good enough. We are going wide, my friends. The Esper Sentinel, then Warmaster Sentinel, trigger. All we're missing is Winota. Actually, that's also very good. Warmaster, Jasper Sentinel. So I'll trigger the Warmaster, and I'll pass the turn back. Oh, opponent's playing Rogues. Rogues with Yorion? That's different. Good old Sultai bait. Well, let's play this on black. Cast the second Warmaster. That thing doesn't have that touch yet, right? So if we attack with everything... let's just cast a Warmaster. Trigger. First one makes a token triggers the second one. Could also bring Umori to our hand. Or we can just attack you with everything. If you have something to flash it in. You can eat a 1/1. You can also double block Jasper Sentinel, but yeah. Just eat a 1/1. That's alright. It's well worth the damage. Let's play this on green. So essentially have 6 mana available. We don't really have a good attack here. We can either attack with everything, or our opponent will make some blocks. We'll take some hits. Oh, we can lose 2 creatures. It's unlikely that the opponent has more. Even Nether Thieves Guild Enforcer. Oh yeah, Nether Thieves Guild Enforcer is a bit of a blowout. And we'll take that chance. Because if our opponent doesn't have it, it's a lot of damage. Then we'll cast a Basri's Lieutenant, which will get countered. Didn't see please. Yep. I saw it coming. Ironically. Ah, we've lost the Winota. Rune Crab. Alright. Opponent's mill shenanigans are on. Wild Bonder. Wild Bonder's quite interesting. Put it on the battlefield. See if our opponent has an answer to that. No. Then we'll just pass the turn back. Your blocks are too good this time. Especially if there's another Soaring Thought Thief. But we have you down enough in life total that you shouldn't be able to just blindly attack with these folks. Ah, Valstry's Lieutenant. Enter the fray. Let's put a counter on the Wild Bonder. Yeah, I'll play the land. And I'll pass the turn back. We're getting close to having an attack here, thanks to the Elvish War Master's ability. Opponent will into the story, keeping black mana open in case they top deck a Thieves Guild Enforcer. We do need to be mindful of mill here. And of our opponent's ludicrous hand size. It's unlikely that we'll be able to land a Winota, because the opponent has tons of cards, which means likely counter magic. We do have 3 Winotas left. Opponent attacks. We lose another Winota. No blocks, I'll take 6. Extinction event on even. That hurts. That hurts quite a bit. Should allow us to cast Kenrit. But I do want to keep that Kenrit alive. Rogues with Extinction event. That's different. We do get to bring back a Winota next turn, using Kenrit's black ability. So maybe we should do a count of what's left. 1 Maja, 1 Haktos, 3 Lieutenants. So we still have most of our good stuff. No blocks. Split us on red. Black, green, white, red. Come back from the dead. I think we want Winota, right? It's hard to do better than Winota. Haste and trample. Opponent drowns Winota. You won't have the drown every turn. Opponent's cries. Opponent now realizes that they need to get rid of Kenrit. 2 to the bottom we do like to see. Seagate Restoration. Opponent's tapping out. I would not have done that if I were you. Actually, as I realized, we just have much better. Oh no, that thing got exiled. Our Wild Bonder got exiled. It's too bad, because a Wild Bonder would actually win the game here. Well, let's try this again. Come back, Winota. Do you want the haste and trample now? Yes, we do. Hit you with everything. Double Winota trigger. Haktos on... Oh, it doesn't matter. You can't stop Winota. It just keeps on swinging. Winota Kenrit, taking us to Mythic 95%. We are playing Winota, Queen of the Elves on MTG Arena Standard against Butine 13. This seems pretty good. Tapland, Warmaster, second Warmaster, Herald. Opponent's playing Mono Green. Alright. This should be fun. No Wicked Wolves. At least not too many Wicked Wolves. These things are wicked. Tangled Florahedron. Alright, we'll play this on green. Then I'll play Warmaster number 1. I mean, you have a bird and some kind of flowers against my guy who has a sword. Although I guess you just summoned the big Troll King. So my argument does not stand anymore. I'll play the second Warmaster. Come on, untap land. Because we've just top decked the queen of our elves. Her sword is bigger and silver. And these guys have golden swords. That's how you know it's the queen. Opponent has a ton of food though. But still. We'd go Winota if we draw the land. Otherwise we have to go Herald. We'll probably have 2 turns to draw our land. Goose. I think I still want to go Herald. Because I'm not sure the board was large enough to actually win the game. Problem is time. Well, now the opponent knows what's up. So you really need to top deck an untapped land. Otherwise we go Goose and go down. Opponent swinging for 13. Well, block to stay alive. Well, top deck and untap land, or lose the game. That's how it goes. Odds are fairly good. Alright. Goodbye, opponent. Let's put it on the Wild Bonder. Alright, can you deal with all of that? Should be difficult. That's 5 points of damage that you cannot block. Opponent has 3 blockers. We have... So Haktos is on 4. You can't block Haktos. So that's 7 points of damage. That's 5 points of damage which you can't block. But there's a lot of effects in play. So if you don't read the Wild Bonder, so that's 7, and then 10, 13, plus 6, 19. And that thing has menace. Yeah, no, it's very lethal. Lethal out of nowhere. You might have 1 tick with use, but it's not going to be enough. And if you block like that, it's definitely over, because Wild Bonder can assign the damage as though it wasn't blocked. So yeah, 7, 9, 12, 18, 22. Plus the 5. So 27. And you think your party is doing well against elves until the queen shows up. And then you get blown apart to smithereens. We are playing Winota, Queen of the Elves on MTG Arena Standard against Gus. This is a slightly sketchy hand because of the 2 lands, but it's otherwise pretty good. We can go turn 1 Sentinel or turn 1 Trio. I'm not sure which one's better. Or maybe even turn 1 Duskwielder might be more appropriate. Try and get some damage in. The opponent's on the Yorion pile, so I want to get a lot of damage. And the opponent goes first. Oh, we'll keep this. Maybe you just want to Sentinel and try to rush out of Winota. Oh, white. Azorius. Another land. So if we go green, second turn we can go War Master, Duskwielder. Yeah, let's do that. Turn 1 Sentinel. Pass the turn back. You Azorius control player. What have you got? Esper Control. Sorry. I'm going to want this on white, I'm pretty sure. Let's go War Master, Duskwielder. Four creatures on turn 2. That's the way we like it. All we need is the queen now. Okay, Orzhov control? It's possible. One removes the War Master. And gets rid of a very good removal spell to do that. Skemfar Avenger seems really good, unless the opponent's playing Extinction Events and all of those. Even then, I'd want the even one. Alright. You two will play for black. And this is when we'll play the Indata Triome. We will also drain you for an extra one. 18 to 21. We now have a significant lead on our opponent. Who's probably looking for lands to cast that Extinction Event. Esper. Okay. Extinction Event on odd. Actually, even might have been better for you. Well, now we have an even, so we'll cast an odd. War Master's pretty nice. We do have mostly the colors we need. Then we'll just pressure you with our elves. And pass the turn back. Shadow's Verdict with her. But even then we'd have War Master Herald to back things up. Now if the opponent doesn't deal with our board, then we have pretty good attack force. 7 power on board, 3 of that power being menacing. Fabled Passage. Ravensworn. Alright. You get the bird, you gain some life. Whenever one or more creatures you control deals damage, look at my hand and draw a card. So we still have a bit of time before the ultimate, and our opponent's going to see our hand pretty soon. So I just fully diversify our colors. If you block the Avenger, then you won't get your card. It's probably still worth it. And the opponent already cast an extinction event, so I'm going to go on a limb here and assume that there isn't another one. This dodges Shadow's Verdict. It's also a pretty troublesome creature if it gets to stick. Maze my tome, you get Scry. We're reading our cards. Gotta love when the opponents are doing that. I don't like the Scry to top though. That is ominous. So you will not get to see my hand. Ooh, top deck Winota. That's really good. Yeah, I think we cast Winota. I mean, the opponent must answer something now. Countering Winota is one thing, but you still have to deal with our board. Eliminate. Goes to Herald. Alright, you get a Raven's Warning. What are you going to pick? And are you going to live long enough to see it? Well, you can always activate the Maze Mind Tome to draw a card. And so, fetching a Heartless Act, drawing it off of the Maze Mind Tome, killing Kenrit, is probably the best play here. Because if you don't, we're going to activate Kenrit's ability to revive Winota. Giving us plenty of lethality in our attack. Or we could just play War Master, Herald, and give, well, play one of the two and then give them haste. It's a tough position. That's what we aim to do, just a bunch of diversified threats that are overwhelming. Dodge some of the common removal and extinction event, Shadow's Verdict, play odd, even, 4 or 5 mana costed creatures, some with +1/+1 counters, protection from multicolors. Just a nightmare for control to deal with. Alright, you go to draw your card, you gain 4 life. Is it enough? Well, we'll find out. As we bring Winota back from the dead. We need a 4-powered creature with our roulette. Are you gonna have to kill the token? You're gonna have to kill the token. That Erebos' intervention did not go as planned, I can tell you that. Rampage of the Valkyrie. Do you know what, dear opponent? It does not matter, because we have Winota. Winota and Kenrit. And that means that our elves are going to overrun you like there's no tomorrow. Goodbye, opponent. It's been a blast. And that's how you deal with control. Just defeat their life total twice by playing Winota, the Queen of the Elves. We are playing Winota, Queen of the Elves on MTG Arena Standard against Leo78677. Almost feels like a phone number to order pizza. Ooh. This is not good. One-landers are no-nos. It's just too bad. because that one had double goose. This we will have to keep. Which land to throw back? Probably Dark War. So we go in Data, Branch Loft, War Master, River Glide. Giants, is it spells? Not yet. Cycling. Alright. Cycling doesn't have much removal, which goes well for a double War Master hand. Let's play this. We already have our white source. Play this on the green side. Play a War Master. Second Stinger. Cycle. Ping us for 2. Cycling is always a pain to play against. Another Sentinel. Alright, well, I'll play this on the red. Play a second copy of the War Master. Trigger the first one. Play a Sentinel. And pass the turn back. Oh yeah, the second War Master triggers off of the first one to get the elf. So I didn't need to play the Sentinel, should have played the Goose. In the meantime, our life total is going down. Going down at a rapid pace at that. Let's go Jasper Sentinel. Trigger, trigger. We can go Goose or fetch Umori. Split us on white. Cash in Umori. Cast the Goose. And hope to top deck in Winota, I guess? Yeah, this attack is meaningless. Opponent would block 2 tokens. I guess we could attack with the 2 War Masters. 4 cards in the yard. I'll trade the War Masters with the Drowned Stingers at this point. Pyromancers, big problem. So you have to kill one of my War Masters now. Although 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the Goose, that's 7 mana. With that land's also 7 mana. Going after a Sentinel is a good move. Except that they do still have a ton of mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slightly weak attack, but very obvious that I'm planning on activating the War Master. Like, it doesn't get much more obvious than that. Please block with the Pyromancer. Activate the War Master. So Goose cashes in for green. And Sentinel cashes in for greed, tapping this creature. Giving all our elves +2/+2 in Death Touch until end of turn. Opponent's down to 3. So you don't always need a Winota. Although we're gonna get Zenith flared. Or just cycle to death. That also works. Ouch. Yep, that'll also do it. Cycle to death. But we got so close. We got a super elf activation. Maybe we should have played Umori and then wait for the extra turn. Maybe. But it's still a fun game. Almost got them cyclers. We are playing Winota, Queen of the Elves, on MTG Arena Standard against the Snow Beach. Let's see. That's pretty close to the perfect hand. Now, how do we play this? Data Triumph, turn 2 Sentinel Duskwielder, turn 3 Herald. Yeah, there's no way to sneak out a turn 2 Herald. Temple of Epiphany. That likely means adventures. Teamer adventures, most likely. There it is. Oh, you gotta beware of Bone Crusher Giant. Oh no! It's not a Bone Crusher, it's not a... It's a Tibalt's Trickery deck. Now, opponent gets a Dream Trawler. Okay. Think we can beat a Dream Trawler. Actually, I think we can beat the Dream Trawler pretty easily. And the opponent has nothing else they can play for a little while. So you can take it slow, make it happen, as my favorite battlecruiser would say. Well, not too slow, because that is a 5/5 flying lifelinker. That's slow enough. Hey, we can play Duskwielder and Herald next turn, and then play Winota with 4 triggers. Alright. Duskwielder first. That's a white source. We'll need at least one Jasper Sentinel for red. Play this on black. Cast Herald. The King of Skemfar. Then we're looking for Jasper Sentinel or Duskwielder off of Herald. We already have the Winota and we have 1 mana of any color available. Neither of these will do. Let's just pick the second Winota. There is a non-zero possibility that the opponent would be playing a Valky. And we should have 2 attack turns with Winota, because that'll swing for 7. No blocks. Yeah, the one downside is that we'll need to use 2 creatures to pay for Winota. This on what? So what are the creatures we want to attack with? The Duskwielder. Herald has Menace, so Herald is a good attacker. And if we cast this... No, we don't have enough mana. Alright. Oh, we need red. We want to keep Jasper Sentinel. Here comes Winota to hopefully win us the game. Red Tents are under no threat of dying from our opponent. And we get 2 Winota triggers this turn. A miss and a Kenrit. You can't block Herald because of Menace, and we can't block Stonecoil Serpent because of protection to multicolor. So I guess it's a fair trade. We'll drain you for 1 because we can. And hit you for 8. passing the turn back. You know, Tibalt Trickery, we can just beat it fair and square. If you call Winota fair. We're down to 6. We do have Kenrith that can gain us some life. So we'll play the Savite Triumph to begin with. Could also play this... Oh no, we don't have a meaningful red source. So I'll just move to combat and attack you with everything. That's the most reasonable course of action. Get a lieutenant. Spread the damage around a little bit. Get another lieutenant. Keep on spreading the damage. And a miss. That's a lot of misses. That's 6, 10, 15, 22 points of damage. Minus what gets blocked. So we will need Kenrith to gain us some life. And maybe the opponent gets to play something now. One swinging with the Dream Trawler. I'll take the damage, because one is not dead. Points on 6. Keep the mana open to respond to any kind of shenanigans the opponent would throw at us. More Winota triggers? Let's go Wild Bonder, just to ensure that the opponent has no way of blocking their way through this. Guard Protector, pump everything, and we're kind of running out of creatures in our deck. And yeah, your turn 2 Dream Trawler is not good enough when we have the power of fairness and Winota on our side. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe. It won't cost you any mana, and it greatly helps to support this channel and keep the awesome videos coming. Until next time, may the fun be with you.